guys, welcome back to Southern Gal True Crime. Hope everybody has had a good week. It is Friday, so I have our case of the week to bring to you today. And I debated for a long time about whether or not to share this case with you because it is a very, obviously, as they all are, very sad case. It's also a very horrific, tragic case of what happened to this little 6-year-old girl. And this is a case from Arkansas. Excuse me, from 2012, Jersey Bridgeman. And even what happened to this little girl before she was abducted, excuse me, and ultimately found deceased is just deplorable in its own right. So that's why I debated about it for a long time, but I feel like her Jersey story deserves to be told. Now, when it happened, it did get some national attention just due to the circumstances of what happened to her before she was abducted. But since then, like I said, it's happened in 2012, so about 11 years now. But since the initial event and the trials that went along with it, it hasn't been really mentioned much. So I just wanted to go ahead and bring it to you to keep Jersey's name out there, or share with you her story about this beautiful little girl whose life was taken. And just like I said, such a tragedy. But anyway, we will get into it. Get everything up and going as usual with my slides. Oh, see, I'm already having problems here. Slides. There we go. Okay. So before we get into the case, I always bring you a current missing person. And this information comes from the Morgan Nick Foundation Facebook page, and I will put a link to it in the description box, and I implore you to please share it anywhere and everywhere you can. Today's missing person is Jaden Santini. He went missing from Columbia, Kansas on November 30th of this year, so not too long ago at all. He is a white male. He's just 19 years old, 6'4", 160 pounds, with blonde hair and blue eyes. And he was last seen in Columbus, Kansas. He wears glasses. He is also known to wear a black beanie and a black zippered hoodie. And he does have a snake tattoo on the inside of his right wrist. So be on the lookout. There's some very distinct, the tattoo, very distinguished. So they'll be very easily recognizable. Also the wearing of the black beanie. All these little bits of information are important when it comes to missing persons and helping to try to locate them or spot them. So if you have any information regarding Jaden or his disappearance, his possible whereabouts, you can contact the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office at 620-429-1332. So like I said, please share it anywhere and everywhere you can. Any true crime groups you may be in, friends, family, so any social media platforms to help get this information out. Very much appreciated. All right, so we were going to get to the tragedy of Jersey Bridgeman, and this is truly a tragic case. Like I said, this little 6-year-old girl went through, before she was even abducted, what she went through is just deplorable and sickening. And not to down the system, and I'm sure they did all they can for Jersey, for what she went through, but it just still makes you sad to think everything that this little girl went through in just 6 years, the 6 years that she was here on earth with us. So Jersey Diane Bridgeman was born on November 14th, 2006. She was 6 years old when she was abducted from Bentonville, Arkansas. And Bentonville is up in the northwest part of Arkansas. It's the home base for Walmart. I go up. Haven't really been to Bentonville a lot. I've been to Fayetteville a few times to some football games. But in any case, she was abducted and later found deceased. Now, like I said, this case garnered a lot of international media attention in the U.S. and Europe, and it spurred debates about child protection. And I will get into the child protection part when we get into the circumstances of her case. In part, it was spurred in part due to the prior convictions and lengthy sentences for the perpetrators of aggravated, I'm just going to say child neglect. I don't know if I can use the A word. And involved a high-profile trial of her father and her stepmother, and the especially heinous nature of the things that happened to her, and these circumstances surrounding her subsequent abduction and the taking of her life. So Jersey was, like I said, she was born and grew up at least until 6 years old in the city of Bentonville. Following her parents' divorce, her father, which is pictured in the bottom picture there, and her stepmother, Jana, which is pictured on the top, had custody of Jersey. Now, trigger warning, this is getting into some of the things. I'm not going to be too graphic, but the things that happened are very disturbing. So just trigger warning. So David and Jana Bridgeman, her father and stepmother, they chained her to a dresser in an apparent bid, as they said, from wandering at night and getting into medication. Now, my question is, if you have medication in the house, if there are children in the house, even if there aren't children in the house, medication, any type of medication should be secured somewhere where children cannot reach it or have access to it. That's just my opinion. I think that is the general opinion of anybody who will be watching this. The case, of course, like I said, generated public concern and outrage, and they were ultimately arrested. They did plead guilty to false imprisonment, permitting abuse, and endangering the welfare of a minor. The father, David, received 18 years in prison, and the stepmother, Jana, received 12 years in prison. So, like I said, this happened in 2012. I'm going to have to go back and look and see if they are still in prison or not. Hopefully they, and I don't know if they had any parole or eligible for parole or not. I'll have to go back and look at that. But hopefully, in my opinion, hopefully they are still in prison. Now, some of the things, and after Jersey was found, and the father and stepmother arrested, a child counselor spoke to Jersey, and Jersey said that Jana and David had chained her to a dresser because she had gotten up, would get up. They claimed she would get up in the middle of the night and eat food such as pies, cereal, bread. Well, this is according to the Rogers Police Detective Larry Taylor, and this comes from a court affidavit. He added that Jersey also said that they put a belt around her waist so that she could not get up and get into any of the food. So, like I said, this very deplorable what this little girl went through. The woman who first contacted the police about possible child endangerment said that she had actually seen Jersey tied up to the dresser with a silver chain, which appeared to be have a dog collar on it. Now, Jersey's father, David, did admit in court that he did tie up Jersey with a belt, but he defended his actions by saying that this was to prevent her from getting into medication and other dangerous materials around the house. So once again, I go back to, if you have medication in the house or whatever these other dangerous chemicals were in the house, you put them up where the child, Jersey or any other child, cannot get get access to them. To me, that, in my opinion, this is just the excuse that he came up with. I think, in my opinion, these two people, her father and stepmother, were abusive. This is the abuse that they inflicted upon her, and they were just trying to make up excuses as to when they got caught. But no excuse, in my opinion, there is no excuse for ever harming a child under any circumstances. But I would love to hear what you guys' thoughts on that are. I'm sure that any normal, reasonable, sane person would agree. So David Bridgeman also went on to say that he thinks that she may be sleepwalking and that they discussed buying a child gate, but since he did not have a job at the time, they could not afford to buy one. And Detective Taylor, this is another thing that Detective Taylor wrote in the court affidavit. I could say a lot of things about the mother and stepfather right now, but I'm going to keep my cool and be professional and just give you the facts as I know them. But I'll let you guys make your own decisions about what you think about these two people. So after Jana and David were pled guilty, were sentenced to prison, Jersey was then placed in the custody of her mother, Desiree. And the picture there is Jersey with her mother, Desiree, and the picture that is pixeled out is Jersey's little sister. And I believe at the time that Jersey went missing or was abducted, the little sister I think she was 2. So she was placed in the care of her biological mother. She worked, so she needed babysitters, and 2 of the babysitters that frequently tended to Jersey and her little sister were Zachary Hawley and his wife, Amanda. They had attended to Jersey and her younger sister on the night of November 19th, 2012. And then didn't say where Desiree worked at, what kind of job she had. It's really irrelevant to the case. But so according to court documents, Jersey's mother, Desiree, told police that she went next door to visit this couple, Zachary and Amanda Hawley, who were babysitting the girls, after she came home from work, and this was around 11 p.m. On November 19th. She visited for a little while, and then Zachary Hawley carried Jersey, and Desiree carried the little sister back to, and I believe they lived fairly close together, maybe next door, or maybe a house between them. So they took Jersey and Desiree back to their home, placed the children, little girls, in the same bed. And this was according to Detective Sergeant Chris Moffitt, and this is also from the court documents. So Desiree, the mother, gets home. She goes, picks up the girls. Zachary Hawley helps her get the girls back home, get them in bed, and then assumably he went back to his home. So when Desiree woke up the next morning, Jersey was missing from the bed where her 2-year-old sister was still sleeping. So the girls slept in the same bed. And this is also, most of this information comes from the court documents. Desiree looked around the house. She couldn't find Jersey. She then asked Zachary and Amanda Hawley, which are pictured here on the left, to help her look. They came over, helped look outside, inside the house, outside the house, couldn't find her. So they ultimately called 911 to report Jersey missing. So police searched the Bridgeman home where Desiree and Jersey and her little sister lived. They also searched the Hawley's home where Amanda and Zachary lived. Jersey wasn't there. At some point during the search, an officer noticed that the back door of a nearby vacant house was open. He went inside the house, and unfortunately, he found Jersey deceased. So, and when it said nearby vacant house, like I said, I'm assuming that where Desiree and the girls lived and where the Hollies lived and this vacant house were all maybe on the same block or in the same area, at least within walking distance. But I could never find exactly how close all these homes were. But nonetheless, Jersey unfortunately was found deceased. She, once again, trigger warning. She was found in this vacant home. It says in the same neighborhood. Her body was nude. She had been SA'd, and apparently she had been suffocated, strangled with her own pajama bottoms. So, like I said, what she went through with the abuse from her father and stepmother, and then this happens to her. I'm trying to make it through this video without just bursting into tears. Like I said, I've known about this case for a while, and this is the reason I've hesitated to do it until now, because excuse me, because it always makes me very emotional thinking about what happened to this beautiful little girl every time I read the details of this case. So here on the left is a picture of Zachary Hawley. He was questioned in a connection with Jersey's abduction. He was cooperative. He did provide a DNA sample, and his clothes that he was wearing from the day of Jersey's disappearance. But forensic evidence was found that implicated him in this crime. He was arrested, and he was arraigned for involvement in Jersey's abduction. Now, at the time, I don't think they charged him with the homicide, but he was ultimately first arrested for the abduction. And this picture here, it makes him look like a crazy man, just wandering the streets in his bathrobe and his little beanie there. But anyway, I digress. So the probable cause document was released to the public at some point. It was, of course, heavily redacted, but it did reveal that the crime lab in Bentonville, they worked through, this happened close to the holidays, they worked through the Thanksgiving holiday to develop a DNA profile from semen samples that were found on Jersey's body. And Zachary Hawley, being the genius that he is, he did call the Bentonville police on November 23rd, and this is according to the affidavit, and he later showed up at the station. He gave a statement. The details are blacked out, redacted. He was then booked on charges of capital M, kidnapping, SA, and residential burglary. And at the hearing, he was denied bond. So he stayed in jail after he was arrested. So he was ultimately charged with the homicide, kidnapping, SA, and residential burglary. And this will come, all these charges will come relevant when it came to his sentencing. So he was convicted of the crime for Jersey, thank goodness. A 30-year-old Bentonville man has been convicted of kidnapping, assaulting, and taking the life of a 6-year-old girl, which was Jersey Bridgeman. The Northwest Arkansas Democrat-Gazette reports that a Benton County Circuit Court jury found Zachary Hawley guilty of capital homicide, kidnapping, SA, and residential burglary in the death of Jersey Bridgeman. The defense attorneys called no witnesses during the trial. because what witness would they have aside from his wife Amanda, who could not, since they were married, she could not be compelled to testify against him even if she wanted to. And I have a question as to whether or not, now I don't know for sure, but I have always had a question of whether or not she knew about this and maybe wasn't involved in it, but maybe either helped cover it up or she knew information about it and she never said anything. Now, like I said, that's just me. I don't know for sure, but I just have that suspicion. So the defense attorneys called no witnesses. Of course, Zachary did not testify. It is not unusual. Most defendants, especially in a homicide trial, will not testify. That's just per usual. But it is interesting that they called no witnesses, and the defense acknowledged both at the start and the end of the trial that Zachary was responsible for Jersey's death. So they did not deny it, and we'll find out why. I'm assuming on insanity. I don't know if they tried the insanity plea or that would be my assumption. And prosecutors have said that they will ask the jury to impose the DP when it deliberates punishment for this crime. So, like I said, he was found guilty. The jury found forensic evidence was considered convincing to the jury, and they found him guilty of the charges. They did sentence him to the DP as well as 2 life terms and 20 years. So to break that down, he got the DP for the actual homicide. One of the life sentences was for the kidnapping. The other life sentence was for the assault, the SA, and the 20 years was for the residential burglary. So that is how the sentencing breaks down. Of course, he continued to assert his innocence, and he did seek an overturning of his conviction in 2019, citing Rule 37, a petition that he received inadequate counsel from his attorneys. And I do have I have to go to my tablet here. I do have come on, get my tablet going. Okay. I'll be right. Oh, come on. Don't tell me you're not going to work. There it is. Okay. And this is why he was, this Rule 37 petition was filed. The man sentenced to the DP for the 2012 assault and homicide of 6-year-old Benton girl, Jersey Bridgeman, was back in court on Monday. And this article was from October 30th of this year. In 2015, a jury found Zachary Hawley guilty of the homicide, keep forgetting I can't say the K word, of Jersey Bridgeman in 2012. Monday's hearing was for a Rule 37 petition, which claims that Hawley's defense attorney was ineffective during his 2015 trial. Criminal defense attorney Ken McLemore was the only person that testified in this hearing. McLemore was questioned about the procedures of obtaining multiple psychoneurological examinations of Zachary Hawley. He was also asked about jury selection and a trip to Bakersfield, California that he apparently made, where Zachary Hawley spent time as a child. Judge Brad Karen, Karen, also questioned why the second mental evaluation of Hawley was not filed, but this McLemore, the attorney, could not recall a reason for not filing this second mental evaluation. The prosecuting attorney said the goal of this petition is to get a new trial. And if the judge approves, Hawley could receive a new sentence. Hawley will be back in court on Tuesday, October 31st of this year. And the judge said he would like to call a jury on November 7th of this year. And I do have another article that gives up-to-date information. Zachary Hawley says that his legal representation was ineffective during his initial trial. Specifically, he questions why his team got multiple mental evaluations and whether those evaluations were conducted fairly and correctly. No, I don't know anything. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know anything about mental evaluations and how they're supposed to be conducted, but apparently Zachary Hawley thought that his weren't done correctly or fairly. He also is challenging whether his jury selection was conducted fairly and correctly. Prosecutors believe the hearing could last more than a week, and it could determine whether Hawley is granted a new trial. All right, so that was that. So that was the reasoning, this petition, Rule 37 petition, why it was filed. He thought that the mental evaluations were not conducted right. He thought that the jury selection wasn't right. So to me, this was just the stall tactics with the defense attorney and Hawley to try to get a new trial. All right. Oh, let me go back. I do have another article going back to his mental state, his mental evaluation. And it says, Arkansas doctor says Zachary Hawley had the ability to follow the law. So in other words, he was mentally competent at the time that he committed these crimes. A doctor testified Tuesday that Zachary Hawley did not have a mental disease that would have prevented him from following the law, in other words, knowing that he was doing wrong, when he assaulted and took the life of 6-year-old Jersey Bridgeman. This doctor worked for the Arkansas State Hospital, and the court hired her to conduct a third-party evaluation of Hawley. Hawley's defense argues that more should have been done to show that he has brain damage. Well, in my opinion, he does have maybe not brain damage, but definitely psychopathy. It's just my opinion. He argued that more should have been done to show that he has brain damage, which could have affected his ability to understand his rights and make a voluntary confession. So, like I said, he did confess. He did plead guilty. The defense is also arguing that Hawley's trial attorney did not adequately investigate his mental health history. Once again, we go back to the mental health. They argue, of course, that Zachary Hawley should get a new trial. Prosecutors, on the other hand, argue that enough was done, and they are confident that the jury got it right the first time. Hawley was sentenced to, like I said, the DP, 2 life sentences plus 20 years for the crime of Jersey Bridgeman. So we had a third party mental evaluation of him that, according to this psychiatrist, said that he was competent at the time of these crimes. He did know what he was doing. So he has no reason. She found no reason to grant a new case on the fact of the question of his mental status or ability at the time of the first trial. So there you go. His insanity defense did not hold up. So as of November 18th, 2023, a testimony ended Friday, November 17th for a convicted offender, Zachary Hawley's bid to overturn his death sentence, DP, in connection to the crime regarding Jersey Bridgeman in 2015. Benton County prosecuting attorney Joshua Robertson Jr. told 5 News that the court will hear closing arguments on April 26, 2024. and the court may release its first ruling on the same day, but Robinson said there is a possibility that it could be released after April 26th of 2024. So we won't find out at least until next April of 2024, which is a few months away, whether or not they are going to consider overturning the DP and getting him a new trial or a new sentence. So whenever that happens, I will bring you an update on this case and let you know what happens. But hopefully, in my opinion, Zachary Hawley will be spending, either he will get the DP or at the very, and once again, they will appeal and appeal and appeal and delay the DP for as long as they can. But at the very least, hope he spends the rest of his natural life behind bars. I said that's just my opinion. So, as always, the heart of the case is the victim, little Jersey Bridgeman, just 6 years old when her life was taken, and even before that, the abuse that she endured before her life was taken. Her case continued to inspire substantial coverage and discussion internationally, not only due to the trial, but also the circumstances that led up to her abduction and the taking of her life, particularly in light of the persistent abuses on the part of those entrusted with her care. And that's the sad part, that two people, her father, biological father, and her stepmother, these were the people that were supposed to be taking care of her, protecting her, making sure nothing happened to her and they treated her deplorably. She was subjected to horrible things. And it just infuriates me when it comes to anything to do with children, whether it be the mistreatment of children, the abduction of children, children going missing. That is my heart and soul. It just tears me up. That's why I wanted to bring you the case of Jersey, to try to be a voice for her and to keep her spirit and her soul alive, and so she will never be forgotten. Lost my place. And they also want to consider potential steps to improve child protection and anticipate possible dangers before they happen. And Jersey was noted to have been despite everything that she endured, she was noted to have been a happy and cheerful girl to those around her. So you can just look at that little face there and just see what a bright, shining soul she was, a beautiful little girl inside and out. And it was just such a tragedy that her life was taken at just 6 years old. And from this monster, possible or multiple monsters, if you go back to the things that happened to her before her life was taken. So that is the story of little Jersey Bridgeman. Like I said, I debated for a long time about whether or not to do a video on this story because it's just so sad and so tragic and so horrible. But Jersey deserves to have her story told, to keep her name out there once again so that she is never forgotten. So that is why I wanted to bring you her story today. So if you found this video, I don't want to say interesting, but informative, please give it a thumbs up. Give a thumbs up for Jersey, if nothing else, for this beautiful little girl. And on a small channel like mine, any likes, shares, and comments helps it push it out. YouTube pushes it out to more people, and that's the most important thing, is to get these stories like Jersey's out there to as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. So until next time, thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. Be careful out there. Take care of each other. That's the most important thing we can do in this life, is to take care of fellow human beings so that we can all make it through this life safely, especially our children, and our elderly. We need to take care of our kids and our elderly folks. So once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.